So Crimson Desert is now sitting at a very positive 81% review rating out of 26,443 users as of the recording of this video. And what I find funny about this is that it literally reflects some of the experience I recently had with it. The transition for having uncertain and mixed takes on it to holy shit, this is actually amazing when it wants to. However, some lows still follow. And don't get me wrong, I knew what to expect with the game. In fact, I did the most research on this game before it came out since I did with any game in the past few years, and it was precisely because opinions were so mixed on it. I didn't know what to believe. I wasn't sure. Usually I can make an informed opinion just at a quick glance whether I like the game or not. But for this one, it took a while, and I had to go to some of the reviewers actually trust more. Shout out to Wolf Art FPS and a few others. But obviously, you still need to play the game to truly decide for yourself. Still, that was enough for me to make an informed opinion that I will, for the most part, enjoy it. And even the parts I won't enjoy, it will be an interesting case study. After all, a few years ago, I played the developer's previous game, Black Desert Online, for about a month, even though I said I was done with MMOs. My MMOs days were behind me, precisely because I realized most of them devolve into pay-to-win machines. Pay-to-win grind machines at that. And I didn't want to get into the sunk cost fallacy where the game just keeps you there and, you know, you're stuck. That's how the concept of states playing starts appearing. You don't want to get into that place. It's a toxic state to be in. It makes you feel miserable. You also can't do much about it. You want to improve the experience. You're just stuck in it. I dropped them. I said I wouldn't go back because I'd consider that a regression of myself. I would go down to a younger version of myself that didn't know better. I can't just ignore and unsee the pay-to-win strategies, the mechanics I see. So, now we get to Pelzabith's current title, a single-player game that obviously has a lot of shared DNA with Black Desert Online. Now, I enjoyed my month or 3 weeks in Black Desert Online before I ran into the pay-to-win mechanics. And since this was going to be a single-player, I wouldn't have to worry about those. I have some expectation for this game, obviously. And I don't want it to be just a single player MMO. I don't think that will work as well. So my expectations for the story weren't high, really. And I didn't ask for it. It was just enough for the story to be serviceable to me, to remind the player every now and then, so it can just keep you going. For the record, I don't find the story bad. It's just that the execution could have used some more work. The concept of Cliff trying to reunite his scattered bands of mercenaries that you meet in the prologue. By that, I wish the prologue was a bit longer so you get more attached to them or something. And on top of that, obviously, you get probably the chosen thing where you try to keep the balance of the world with the Abyss Cube concepts or what have you. The story makes sense to me. I still wish it was executed better, but it's enough, like I said. Elden Ring doesn't have a good story. Elden Ring has a bare bones story. And before anyone rages at me, I want to say, yes, I know it has good lore, it has great lore, but the story is, come on. Who plays Elden Ring or Soul game for the story? You go in it for the combat, the bosses, the exploration, the dungeon crawling, all the builds you can create and so forth. The challenge, obviously. Yeah, you might go in it for the lore as well. So it's no problem. Enjoy myself great narratives, but I'm still a gameplay first gamer. So I kind of knew what to expect. Even so, I still had a mixed opinion because, well, I expected to have a mixed opinion. For instance, the game gives you highs and then it gives you lows. This is after we get past the control issues that have been mean to death, because I think eventually everyone's gonna get used to the controls. I was more concerned about things like enemy variety and design, as I noticed as I was stepping outside of the beginning area to do a bounty, hell knows where, pretty far away from it. And the only enemies I ran into, besides some bushes that were shooting lightning at me, and that was fun, I guess, were mostly small camps of bandits that were honestly jokes. They felt like tutorial mobs, but I was kind of scared. I even made a short on that. That is this the enemy design? I know they're meant to be just fodder mobs, but even fodder mobs in games like Dark Souls, Gothic, Witcher, and so forth for Cyberpunk can be way more threatening. And that was a sign of worry because, you know, this is something that can't be fixed with just a patch. I guess you can fine-tune their damage numbers and HP numbers up, and that can help, but the AI most likely not. So yeah, that's a low that's gonna affect the game's highs. The game's peaks are supposed to be its exploration and combat mechanics. However, if you have poor enemy design, that won't allow the combat mechanics to shine. Just like with the exploration, if you don't have good loot, good, I don't know, maybe places to explore, something to entice you, good reward to for enemies or bosses, it will hamper one of your highs. And that's, you know, I had these issues. I didn't find any real great loot, and the enemies were just some bandits that I was like, okay, they were fine for a tutorial zone. I don't mind these being in the starting area, but I went all the way up here and I'm still encountering mostly bandits. I'm getting worried now. However, on my last stream, I just did my first Quarry Liberation that you're gonna see right here, and holy, was it an absolute cinema experience in kind of the best ways that it can be in a game, aka you create your own cinema experience via gameplay. That's what's awesome, because see, I'm not a big enjoyer of games that sure are cinematic, but they're mostly cutscenes and you just have a few button presses. I'm sure those are fine, but they've never been for me. Like I said, I like narrative experiences in my game, but I want to have control over what my character does for the most part. I can craft my own story, my own personal story that will be different from everyone else's just for the gameplay, and that is exactly how that felt. There was this big quality where they literally made you fight a small army of these bleeding bandits, the Karin Quarry, I believe, and it was also like the game trying to get back of me for poking fun at its mobs being trash. They just threw a bunch of them at you to the point that, yeah, it can be threatening if they swarm you. Otherwise, no, you'll mostly be fine, especially if you can just spam food. But if they swarm, it can be threatening, especially since those mobs can also work as fodder to some of the elites. And some of the elites actually can fight decently. They can do some combos, they're better at defending. On their own, you'll obviously kick their asses, but in groups, yeah, they can be pretty threatening if you let them pile up on you. So I was just moving around that area because it was also tactical, in a sense. You had to keep moving. Sometimes I was funneling them. I also had to be wary of the battles. Usually battlemancy is on my side in games like Baldur's Gate or Divinity, but here battlemancy was more on the enemy sides. I got hit twice. First a bandit hit the barrel, then I accidentally hit the barrel. I was thinking of bandits, and then I just kept paying attention to where I am non-stop. I was on extra alert to see where the battles are, and all this was absolute cinema, all while the bandits are swarming you and you keep moving. This whole section lasted me about an hour, by the way, of non-stop fighting. That was fun. And then they end off this section with a pretty creative boss who, once he started hitting me, it got pretty deadly. I did first time him using a Falmat build, so it's nothing too difficult, but it's challenging enough that it just felt right, at least to me. Maybe there was a gimmick I should have done that would have made the boss so much easier, but this was enough for me. So yeah, I felt like for this whole Outpost Liberation, I saw part of the game's peaks, and I'm wondering, if the game offers more like this, or heck, who knows what else, I'm sure there will be even better things than this, then yeah, this game is quite something. In a sense, it pisses me off, because somehow I'm not seeing be this Game of the Year. And that's a shame, because I think it has the potential for it. I just wish it had another year in the oven. Maybe the story would have been a bit more refined too. Maybe some of the controls would have been ironed out. Those can be done with patches, but I'm mostly thinking at the things that can't be solved through patches. Heck, great games had problems with patches. I don't think it's gonna be a Cyberpunk 2077 scenario where some patches are just gonna unravel the peak experience that was all there. Who knows? But yeah, I'm just saying, the transition there, it was like an epiphany as I realized what this game can let you do with its fabulous combat mechanics, and I wish to see more of this. It was almost addicting in the good way. I literally had a stream session where it was 10 hours, and I realized at the end of it that I didn't even get up at all. Actually, no, maybe I went to the bathroom once and that was it. I forgot how to eat. The game just kept me curious and engaged And yeah, I'm gonna keep streaming it. I mean, I'm focused on this mostly for now, and we're gonna see what follows. But yeah, good stuff, Crimson Desert. I absolutely wish to see more. And everyone else, have a good one. Peace out.